So Tom Brady came out and said, hey, guess what? I'm never going to sign an intercepted ball again. That reminds me of a bad play, but, you got to give Brandon Echols some credit here because since he's not going to sign it, for anybody anywhere else, Brandon has a one-of-a-kind.
That's right. He's going to have to sell it now, I think.
Maybe not, but I just think it's pretty cool that Brady came out and said he's not going to do that again and probably was caught off a little off guard when you think about it.
Oh, well, sure. It's never happened before. He never wants to do it again. I mean, he said he was flattered by it. I guess he mentioned this to Jim Gray. He said he was flattered by it, but he's not going to sign mistakes or celebrate mistakes ever again. So that's the last time he's signing an intercepted ball.
I just think, when a guy comes up to you after the game to say congratulations, whatever, hey, would you mind signing this ball?
Crazy.
Now, there's no way I don't think he would have done it had the Buccaneers lost the game.
Yeah, because with Tom, you're saying.
Right, yeah. I got
Brandon Echols has some balls on him. I think he would have asked. But Tom would have been like, no,
Brandon,
come on,
I'm sorry,
man.
I'm not going to do that. But since they won the game,
yeah, it's a little easier.
I can see that happen. But it's still one of a kind.
That's right. I know it's a personal thing to him. He picked the ball off. He got Tom Brady to sign it. But if Brandon Echols' NFL career sort of peters out and he needs some cash, he knows where he can go. That's tens of thousands of dollars at the very least
I would think so. So good for Brandon Echols, man. The entrepreneur, if you ask me. I think it's pretty cool. And you were talking about Jim Harbaugh.
That's
now,
right.
So, this name's floating around. That means the agents are now out there circling like buzzards, and they know that there's going to be Black Mondays coming, and they're going to be some guys that are probably going to be let go that are a little surprising. I don't know what they're going to do with Rich Bisaccia in Las Vegas. We obviously know that that's a potential opening spot for somebody else. I don't know when I hear
they're not going to keep Rich Bisaccia.
I don't know if he gets his team to the playoffs. I don't know, man. Him and Derek Carr get this team to the playoffs, given everything that's gone on out there. I can't imagine they would, but they may.
Okay,
you never know. Could Stephen Ross want Jim Harbaugh as his head coach?
He's a huge Michigan guy, right?
That's right.
And he's one of the richest. Is he the richest owner in football?
No, David Tepper, I believe.
David Tepper?
I believe. I'm not, it's one of those two. Although Shad Khan is extremely wealthy as well. Extremely.
Yeah.
But I would say there's when you hear David Tepper. What did I say?
You said David Tepper.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
I did. Okay. So when you start hearing names like this, that means the agents are out there, and the agents are prowling, and the agents are looking for spots, and they're trying to get leverage. And every now and again, even though Michigan lost in the college playoff, Jim Harbaugh and his agents have to remind Michigan just how lucky they are to have him.
Well, they just signed him to an extension earlier in 2021.
Right.
Through the 2025
so
season.
This also could be somebody saying something on his behalf to say, hey, who knows how much criticism's coming his way for losing.
Yeah, but he got him the college football playoff. They were terrible, but I mean, it's what they've been asking for ever since he got there.
He's been my thing is he's been a successful coach. There's no question about it. It's just the success level hasn't been reached that the Michigan faithful want him to reach.
Yeah,
he's good. He's really good, and you can look at the record and say, wow, he finally beat Ohio State, finally got to the college playoff. He's been there for a while. They've had a couple of really good teams that haven't gone very far. So, I don't want to sit here and say that he's not a good coach. He's a really good coach. But, sometimes you have to remind the people that you're working for, hey, I could be wanted somewhere else.
Yeah.
So get off my ass, get off my back, and leave me alone. That kind of thing. So
how about this? Bruce Feldman, have you remember him? He used to cover college football for CBS Sports.com. You remember him at all? Okay.
No.
Anyway, I remember his name. You've heard of Bruce Feldman, Eddie? You're a college football fan, yes?
Yeah.
All right. The reason I'm asking is I want to put some legitimacy around what I'm about to say. Not that everybody needs to know who Bruce Feldman is.
But he's a guy that covers college sports.
And he's been doing it for a long time.
All right. So he's a legitimate source.
He said the Raiders are the likeliest spot if Harbaugh wants to return to the NFL. He started his coaching career with the Raiders. Before Michigan, him and his wife lived on the West Coast. But I've also heard that the Giants job could have interested him if it were open. So if you hear that and you're John Mara, you know that Jim Harbaugh is a better coach than Joe Judge because Jim Harbaugh got a team to the Super Bowl.
With Trent Baalke, by the way.
Yeah, who is
down in Jacksonville, and they're going to keep him as GM. But I guess the people in Jacksonville are not happy about this because Trent Baalke does have a Baalke reputation.
Oh, very nice. Is that a sports minute that you?
No, I didn't do a sports minute on it, but
okay.
I just felt like it just came to me, so I used it.
Oh, it's great. It's amazing.
It doesn't have a great
improvisational skill, which you just showed off there.
Especially at 6:07 in the morning.
Very, very good. But yes, so the Giants would interest him if it was open.
Well, here's something for you.
Okay.
Do you think the Bears job would interest him?
Well, yeah. I mean, he's got ties to that organization, of course.
Yeah, he does. Well, I've been told that Matt Nagy has been told that he will not be retained.
So he's been told.
He's been told. He knows. He knows he's not coming back. That and that to me came through a very very tight and good source. Yep. And I go on the Score every Monday out there and talk with Matt and Danny.
Yeah, Danny Parkins, one of the old timers.
Right. And and Danny's been all over Matt Nagy for, I would say, a good, 14 out of the 16 weeks.
Sure, of course.
And, they all want Justin Fields. And, of course, Justin Fields get hurt. And Justin Fields plays good and, shows some flashes. Seems disinterested now on the sideline, which is weird stuff out there. And, when you look at Matt Nagy's record out there, the Giant fan would take it in a heartbeat. The Jet fan would take it in a heartbeat.
I know.
But they seem to have tired of him. And I think the political winds, unfortunately, and the fans and everything else, have pushed the Bears to go ahead and make a new decision. Now, whether or not they're going to sweep out the general manager, Ryan Pace, and all, because he's the guy that, traded up for Mitch Trubisky and passed on Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. He's the guy that traded up to go get what's his name, Justin Fields. He's also the guy that brought in, Nick Foles. I'm sure that he and Matt Nagy had talked about bringing in Nick Foles. That didn't work out. So there's been a lot of missteps at the quarterback position there as well. So much like here in New York, that's usually a common denominator when it comes down to NFL teams that don't do well and coaches that end up getting fired. So, I was told that Matt Nagy has been told that he is not coming back. Now, I don't know if that's been reported anywhere.
It has not been reported anywhere.
Yeah,
this is breaking news. You have to tweet this out from our morning show account there, Al, that Boomer has been told, that Matt Nagy has been told that he is no longer the head coach, or at the end of the season, he would be relieved of his duties. Or
it'll
something
be
like
interesting.
That.
If it's,
you figure out the which words
is really,
there.
which is really a kind of a, like I said, it's really a sad thing because we think of coaches just as coaches, and whether they win or they lose, and the decisions they make, and how they talk to us after games, how they talk to us during the week, how their players play for them. What does their record say about them? Who are they? We always refer back to the great Bill Parcells. Your record is what it says you are. That kind of crap. But then we forget the human element here. Mm-hmm. And for the head coach, it's usually not that bad because they make so much money that, if they have a couple of years left in their deal, they'll be able to pocket, $8 to $10 to $12 million. Unless, of course, you're John Gruden, you just unceremoniously get fired and they don't want to pay you. But for the assistant coaches and their families, it really is a nomad job. And the insecurities that are surrounding the NFL, the broadcast industry, are all kind of the same, where everybody's worrying about where their next job is and what's going on because just the way the whole thing is kind of, put together and the way the owners impetuously react to things and fan bases. Now, I'm not saying that the McCaskey family is doing that because I think this has been building over the last couple of years out there in Chicago. But, here in New York, if John Mara goes and fires Joe Judge again, and then, brings in somebody else, like who would want this job at the present moment, given the track record of ownership over the last
apparently
6
Jim
to 8 years?
Harbaugh wants it.
Well, I don't know, but after the last 6 to 8 years, just think about the decisions that have been made here, the people that have been here, the record that is attached to the people that they've brought in here. Like the only way I think I would even take this job if John Mara offered me a 6-year contract like they did with San Francisco. With Kyle Shanahan.
Douglas got a 6-year contract to be the Jets GM, didn't he?
Well, the Giants are in the same boat. Like sooner or later, you got to. And John Mara said this when he hired Joe Judge. Sooner or later, we got to stick with a guy. We got to go through the bad times, and somehow we got to come out on the other end. And hopefully, it's going to be better than it was when we hired him. And there's a reason why we hired this guy and fired the guy before him and fired the guy before him and fired the guy before him.
Let me tell you something.
After a while, it's just like the hamster wheel of turds.
Yeah, that is correct. And there's no doubt that that's what's going on. But if there was any way that there was a back channel communication going on with Jim Harbaugh's agent and some of the general managers and owners in the NFL about him coming back to the NFL and coaching, and the Giants were on that list, and someone said, hey, Jim Harbaugh's kind of interested in coaching the team, then you got to make another change. I'm sorry. You have to. You always tell me, well, what's the alternative? Well, what's the alternative? Here's the alternative.
Okay, but
if you knew you could hire him.
But I'm telling you right now, Jim Harbaugh, if he is coming out, is not leaving Michigan for a 4-year, $20 million deal.
No.
That is not happening. And there's probably a buyout that is attached to his contract as well. And then you're just say, like, how much money are the Giants going to have tied up in coaches that don't coach anymore for them?
Yeah, they don't care. They make a lot of money.
They do care. I mean, and that's one of the reasons why they do react is because they want their fans to be happy. They want their fans to be engaged. They want their fans to want to go to the games. It's just eventually you got to just say, hey, look, we're going to stick with a guy and we're going to see what's going to happen. And I don't know what, like I said, I don't know what all the alternatives are out there and whether or not the Baker Mayfields of the world or the Derek Carrs of the world are going to be available, as veteran alternatives to some of these teams that are wondering about their young quarterbacks. Who knows? But all I do know is that, Matt Nagy has been told that he's not coming back. So that's going to open up the Chicago job.
So with this new rule, because the way that I understood it, is because some of these coordinators that got wrapped up in long playoff runs and would end up getting screwed out of head coaching interviews, and the cycling process would be, the hiring process would be over with, and then they'd be out of a job at the musical chairs, that if you fire a coach or you tell a coach that he's not coming back, you are allowed to interview and allowed to talk to other candidates the last 2 weeks of the season.
Yeah, so that may be the reason why the Chicago Bears did this. If in fact that's the case and that is the rule, we should look it up and see whether or not if it's accurate. And maybe that's why they did that, because they didn't want to give him any false hope, or maybe he wants to go out for another job and see maybe he can pick up another job.
That's true.
Right, so there are guys out there right now. Todd Bowles is going to be out there. Raheem Morris is going to be out there. Vance Joseph is going to be out there. This is your pool of minority candidates that everybody's going to go through, and you never know who you might connect with as an owner and who you want as the face of your franchise. Then there'll be guys like Doug Peterson will be out there.
Mm-hmm. Forget about Doug Peterson.
Matt Nagy will be out there. I'm trying to think. Jim Caldwell is going to be out there. You remember that name?
Yeah.
Last winning record, I believe, with the Lions.
That is correct.
And ceremoniously let him go.
Yeah, got him to the playoffs, didn't he?
Right. So sometimes the greener pastures aren't always what they seem to be.
Mm-hmm.
That's the point.
Yeah, of course.
And I think I just think for the Giants, and I know the Giant fans are disgusted. I'd be disgusted too. Every weekend I get, a million texts from Giant fans. They're like, I can't believe this sucks. We're the Giants. Well, listen, your Giants for 10 years have been bad.
Yeah, it seems to me that people think that because Joe Judge was singing for his job the last couple of weeks, that means that, and this is one of the things that I kind of thought too, that means that he has not been told that he's coming back. But there's still all these reports out there that John Mara is committed to Joe Judge in 2022. So I really don't know what to believe.
Part of me says, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, I
really
think he's coming back.
And then if things don't go right, this next season, then they can go back to the drawing board again, and maybe they'll go back with another quarterback, or they'll have a better sense of who they are and maybe who Daniel Jones is. I believe Daniel Jones and Joe Judge are going to come back. I also believe that they're going to have to do something about the backup quarterback position because of Daniel Jones' penchant for getting injured, and you can't have what you had here now.
No,
you have no chance.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Joe Judge comes back, Daniel Jones comes back, and then the Giants win 5 or 6 games again. That's what's going to happen next year, and then they're going to have to start all over.
Then we'll be here next year at this time talking about the same thing.
Yeah, talking about the same exact thing. So they're going to spend a year just sort of floating out there in NFL purgatory or worse maybe even more NFL hell for another year, and then we'll just start this thing off next year. That's what's going to happen.
I mean, it is like 10 years now.
Yeah, but I'm talking about this regime here. Yes, but it has been 10 years.
But do you understand what I'm saying about having some
I do.
level of
when you've got the right guys.
And the other problem is that Joe Judge has already fired a number of guys off of his staff over the last 2 years.
Yeah, guys that he didn't want to hire in the first place.
That's the other problem here.
Well, yeah.
Like, who was telling him who to hire? I mean,
John Mara. John Mara told him to hire Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett brought one of his guys in. One of those guys tried to fight Joe Judge. Joe Judge fired him. He fired another guy that apparently Jason Garrett was close with in the offseason, and then he fired Jason Garrett. So that's what happened. So it just was a matter of time before Joe Judge got what he wanted there. But, yeah, if you want to keep Joe Judge, then go for it. But I'm just telling you. Now, I've always liked Joe Judge until recently. Some of the stuff that he's been saying is questioning. I'm questioning whether he is the leader that the Giants need. My bigger issue is with keeping Daniel Jones. That's my bigger issue. I think that you have to try something else because I've seen enough. It's not like 1 year of Daniel Jones. I've seen 3 years of Daniel Jones. 3 years and this was the make or break year this year for him. Remember, Phil got mad at us because we were talking about make or break years for Daniel Jones. Make or break year. He was 4-8 in the games that he played. He got hurt, disappeared. That's a break. I'm sorry. You don't get another shot after that.
Well, he's going to get another shot unless there's some other major alternative that they can wrap their head around to come in here and be the next guy, if you will. But I don't necessarily know that there is one.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the red bell so you're notified when we have new content.